Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and today I have my February TBR. If you've been around here for a while, you know that my TBR is not really set in stone. I like to call it my pile of possibilities because I typically just pick out like a stack of books that I know I couldn't read the whole thing, and it's like, these are the ones I'm most excited about, so these are the ones that I'm going to try to pick from this month. But there are a lot of books that I've picked out this month that I'm very excited for because they fulfill some of my reading goals, whether that be finishing series, reading my Fairy Loot and Illumicrate books, reading more self-pub, or just reading my own physical TBR in general. So, without further ado, let's jump into my TBR pile of possibilities for February. First up is The Book Eaters. And this is the Illumicrate edition, and it is gorgeous. I've actually started this already. I think I started it in December. I didn't get very far because I just wasn't in a headspace, but I was liking what I was reading, so I'm really excited to get more into it. This is about a woman and her son, and the woman is what they call a book eater. So they look like people, but they don't really act like people. They consume books instead of food. And her son is I believe they call him a soul eater or a memory eater. He eats brains, I'm pretty sure. And it's gross, but it's you feel so bad for this little kid because he can't help it. And she's basically in hiding and on the run and trying to just protect her son in any way she can. And y'all know that I love a maternal figure. I love books that center mothers. And I'm also pretty sure this is a standalone from what I can tell from what was said. So that's exciting. And it's really not a big book. It's a pretty thin book, so it should be decently quick to get through. So I'm really excited to pick this back up. The next one that I'm going to try to prioritize is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I've been saying that I want to read this forever. If you saw one of my recent unboxings, I got a Strange the Dreamer blanket in one of them, and I was like, I really need to read this series. And you know what? I'm gonna read this series because I really think it sounds like my kind of fantasy. It just seems like a really fun YA fantasy book. Everyone I know who has read it has loved it, says it's very lyrical. It kind of, for some reason, gives me Starless Sea vibes just from how people talk about it, with it being beautiful and lyrical and dreamlike, and I'm sold. Then we have a self-published YA fantasy book, and I actually got this just the other day in my nerdy book box, and that is The Magi Menagerie, and it's by Kale Lawrence. For one, the cover that they did was really pretty with sprayed edges, and it sounds like it's going to be really cool. And it says, for 17 years, Ezra Newport and his parents were habitual immigrants, traveling from their Ottoman Empire home across 20th century Europe. As the Newports migrate to Belfast, Ireland, Ezra wants nothing more than to settle into a consistent life and lay the foundation of his architectural dreams. But after a strange mechanical bounty hunter murders his mother and prompts the disappearance of his father, Ezra discovers his parents had actually been on the run. Now their enemies are targeting him, and they won't stop until he's dead. In a moment of desperation, Ezra's fate collides with the Third Order of the Magi, a secret society dedicated to using their supernatural powers to protect their communities. With increasing violence around the world, the Magi are fairly certain they know who's behind the attacks on Ezra and his family, since the same group could also be threatening their own existence. Both Ezra and the Magi's survival hinges on knowledge only Ezra's father has, and the key to saving them could be buried within history itself. In a race across continents and time, both Ezra and the Magi must secure an ancient Babylonian artifact before hell is unleashed on the world. And, against all odds, Ezra must decide where his allegiances truly lie, despite what is written in the stars. That sounds really cool. And this is a book one in a series, so definitely excited. Then, like I said, I'm trying to continue on with some series, so quite a few of these are actually continuations. The first one being Satanic by Brandon Sanderson. I picked this up when it came out, and I just haven't gotten to it. I really liked Starsight. I really loved Skyward. I know there's been some like mixed things about this one in particular. I'm still excited to get to it. I do have the short stories. I have the bind up of all of them. I think I'm supposed to read 2 of them first and 1 of them after, if I'm not mistaken. So let me know. Do I have to read the two of the short stories from the bind up before I read this? Or like, should I? Because I will, because I have them and they're short stories, so they won't take long. But I definitely want to get to this. Continuing on with series, we're going to try to read Hellbent this month, and I am so excited to pick this up. I loved Ninth House, and I was so sad that I had to wait so long for a sequel, but now I have it and it is in my hand, and I am going to read it as soon as possible because it just needed that sequel. After the end of Ninth House, you're like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, what is happening? I need to know what happens, and then you don't know what happens for like years, right? So this, I think, picks up right where that one left off, and I'm very excited. Next up, I am going to try to finally get to Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick. I'm pretty sure the 3rd book in this trilogy is coming out this year, sometime soon, and I still haven't read the 2nd one. Like, I got an arc of this on NetGalley and still haven't finished it. I really loved the first book, Mask of Mirrors. It was such a surprise because, like, I hadn't heard any hype about it. I got it on NetGalley and I loved it. So I was so excited to get to the 2nd book, and then I just didn't have time and just kept not getting around to it. So now I am going to get around to it. I also want to try to get to Sky Beyond the Storm by Saba Tahir. This is the last book in the Ember and the Ashes series, and I just need to finish it. I have read the first 3 books, absolutely loved them, so now I just need to finish the series. I have heard that this is going to make me cry. I've heard it's going to make me feel things. And y'all know, typically, if a book makes me cry, I will give it 5 stars. So I'm very excited to finally finish up this series. The next one isn't technically the next book in a series, but it is a continuation of a series, if that makes sense. And that is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I read The Infernal Devices recently. Like, you might see that in my January wrap-up, actually. And I loved them. Now, I did not love The Mortal Instruments. I read them years ago, probably 6-7 years ago. And I didn't love them. And honestly, I don't think I read the 6th book. Because I have like 0 memory of the final book in that series. I don't think I read it. As I just didn't care. So I put off reading The Infernal Devices forever. And then I finally read them and I blew through all 3 of them. Absolutely loved them. Like, Gem is my absolute favorite. But I'll talk about that more in my January wrap-up when we get to it. But yeah, so I ended up picking up all of these. I picked up all of these and the series after it. I had gift cards to Barnes & Noble. They had like this big sale going on. Then they had a discount code on the website. So I think I got 6 books for $10, like, out of my pocket. So I couldn't say no. I'm going to keep on my Shadowhunter journey in February. And the final book that I'm going to try to get to in the month of February is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia for Fairies. And this was in a very recent Fairy Loot, I believe. So excited to get to it. As I said in that video, I'm not typically a fae person, but I've heard really good things about this from early readers so far. And I think that this is going to prove to me that I don't hate fae. I hate certain fae stories by certain other really popular authors that write a lot of fae, fated mates kind of stories. Okay, I did not like The Cruel Prince. I did not like ACOTAR. I didn't hate ACOTAR. I hated The Cruel Prince. ACOTAR, I do plan on reading the second book in the series. The Cruel Prince, DNF'd. Like, do not care. But this sounds like it's going to be kind of more up my alley, so I'm excited to get to it. And it kind of ticks the box of reading my book box books, like, kind of as they come out. All right, so that is my TBR pile of possibilities for the month of February. I'm really excited to be, like, back in my reading groove and just getting books read because I have so many. I do plan to restart my Exploding TBR project, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to do that during Q1. I think I'm going to wait until like April to start it, like start in Q2, because this first 3 months is just kind of insane and busy and just a lot going on. So I don't want to add another like project to it. So I'm just going to read and then we'll start back up with the Exploding TBRs. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie and I will talk to you next time. Bye.